What's up, guys? It's your boy Evan, and today we would be reacting to SpongeBob. Let me see if I can. The title of this SpongeBob. I don't know if it's a theory. Yeah, SpongeBob bikini bottom cups are worse than you thought. I mean, pretty much the characters in SpongeBob are pretty much dickheads and are a-holes, especially to the main characters. Yeah, Squidward is Squidward, but still, is it just me, or is it that the characters or the NPCs, if I'll call them that, are more savage? So if you like this reaction, like, share, subscribe. Let me know any other thing you want me to check out, SpongeBob related, anything, and I'm gonna check it out. And stay tuned to my reactions, anime, cartoons like SpongeBob, theories, the whole bit. We're doing everything. We're diversifying, you get me? So yeah, let me know what next you want me to check out, and I'll check it out. Like, share, subscribe. Want to road to 1K? You know the bit. You know the drill. You know the drill. Yeah. Without any further ado, let's get right into the reaction. Shout out to Flixton for this video, and hopefully I have a blast. I enjoy it. And let's see.
This is the Bikini Bottom police force, and
let's see how worse and how cruel they are.
Sidewalk is somehow worse than murder. Don't believe me?
Oh,
let's find out.
Really?
In Driven to Tears, SpongeBob is off to Mrs. Puff's boating school
Murder.
for his driving test, and Patrick tries to help by showing SpongeBob his unique learning cards, but then Patrick eats them because apparently learning tastes good. That's not quite how it works, Patrick. So SpongeBob ends up failing his driving test again.
Do you
Patrick
remember
thinks
this one?
Test is rigged, but honestly, I think we all know SpongeBob.
Yeah, SpongeBob ain't
He takes the test
he ain't passing the
himself and
test,
aces
man.
it with a perfect score, of course.
And I think he
Cue
got a
SpongeBob's
license,
jealousy.
yeah?
Things get even crazier.
Yeah, he
when
got a
Patrick
license.
becomes the millionth person to pass the test, winning a brand new boatmobile.
Yep,
Patrick's
I remember
so pumped
this
about
one.
his new ride, he's up at 4 a.m. bragging, driving SpongeBob crazy. This is where we see our first cop in action. Inevitably, Patrick's bragging leads to speeding, so SpongeBob has enough and trash talks him to the police fish. I don't blame the kid. If I'd been woken up at 4 a.m., I'd
No,
also
sometimes SpongeBob can be a can be mean. If that's the word I'm looking for, SpongeBob can be something, can be a thorn in the flesh, especially when things don't work out his way. I've realized that, especially when things don't work out his way.
The traffic cop checks Patrick's speed with a radar gun and gets 0 miles per hour.
Yeah, because he has
Obviously,
stopped.
The boatmobile isn't even moving. Patrick then runs multiple red lights and U-turns through an orphanage. Talk about road rage, much?
Oh,
By now,
damn.
SpongeBob snaps and shreds Patrick's license
Yep,
to pieces.
SpongeBob
The
is a
shredded
bit
bits
much.
land in the hands of the same cop who flips out. The police fish suddenly drops the chick he was flirting with,
What's it
yelling,
with-
"This is
yeah.
why I joined the force."
Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting reason to choose your job, buddy. But we'll get into that. Anyway, he chases Patrick and SpongeBob off a cliff, throwing SpongeBob in jail for 90 days. Not Patrick for his driving crimes, that's totally over.
Yeah, but for SpongeBob for littering.
He gets some hardcore jail time. It's like Bikini Bottom was one massive garbage dump at some point, and the cops are now on a mission to prevent a repeat of the Great Trash Apocalypse. They're treating every...
They'd rather have Bikini Bottom be clean than have a murder case, because you're like, yeah. I mean, technically, I think fishes reproduce really, like, they reproduce in large, what's the word? They reproduce greatly, like, man.
Candy wrapper, like it's a
You get what I'm talking
time
about, though.
But if an actual bomb,
So they
went
don't
off,
really
I think
care.
they might notice. And speaking of
Yeah, they don't care if
explosions,
people
in
die.
this episode, Something Smells, SpongeBob decides to make an ice cream sundae using some super gross ingredients. We're talking
Oh.
onions, ketchup, and a half
I don't know
dead
this
peanut
one.
plant. It's as bad as it sounds. The result: the nastiest breath
Oh, it got
in Bikini
a
Bottom.
bad
People
smell.
are literally running away from SpongeBob all day.
Is this
It's
the
so
one
bad
that
he makes a driver go
Patrick
temporarily
couldn't smell?
blind, causing a crash. And get this, the boat explodes, probably killing the poor guy inside.
Yeah, he died.
All that's left is a pipe frame. Finally, this cop shows up. He scribbles out a ticket, sticks it on the husk of the steering wheel, and strolls
Didn't
away.
even
No
care.
investigation into the giant accident.
Yeah.
No concern about the incinerated dead guy. SpongeBob
It seems like, I'm sorry I'm pausing it, so, but it seems like the directions or the orders that the cops are giving in Bikini Bottom is arrest anyone who litters and who deserves a parking ticket, pretty much.
Havoc with his death breath.
Anything
clearing entire
else-
Streets. I'm so glad this is a cartoon and we don't have to smell it in real life.
Anything
He then
else
isolates
goes.
himself in his pineapple, and Patrick, being such a great buddy, decides to cheer him up by going to the theater. Naturally, people flee for their lives, and some straight up die when he and Patrick walk in. And
floated.
the cops, nowhere. It's like they're on vacation.
They
Even at the end of the
floated.
episode, SpongeBob and Patrick run off into the sunset yelling, "We stink!" The cops are still MIA. It's possible the creators of SpongeBob were doing this as a metaphor, using the most hilarious method to teach us that plastic and litter are a big no-no for the ocean. This
Yeah,
episode,
I can
Keep
see
Bikini
that.
Bottom Beautiful, puts a spotlight on these fishy littering laws the most. Squidward steps outside one morning feeling good about this great day in Bikini Bottom. He
Oh.
has no idea what the writers have in store
What
for
a-
him. So, Bro steps in some gum, and when he finally scrapes it off and tosses it aside,
He
this
got a
dude,
ticket.
Officer John, locks onto it like it holds the secrets of the universe.
Ew.
For some reason, he decides Squidward's the culprit and hands him a fine, forcing him to do community service. Poor
Was this
Squidward
where
can't
he
escape
met,
the writers'
Squilliam?
trolling. Squidward is wandering around collecting trash when his nemesis, Squilliam,
Yeah.
shows up. And this guy's
Yeah.
such a clown, bragging about a statue they made for him after he cleaned up the town in a week. Squidward declares, "I can do that in a day," which is a nice goal and all, but seriously, Squidward, not smart. Squilliam blows his nose and drops
Yeah, because
the
they
tissue
were
on the
once
ground before
lovers.
leaving, which is such a butt.
Thanks to Alex Bill's theory.
Officer John, who must be blind or has it out for Squidward, finds the
Boy, he
tissue
was
and
already
slaps him with
cleaning
the fine
up.
again, claiming he
was already
dropped it.
cleaning
Now
up.
Squidward is desperate for a place to stash his trash, and our tentacly friend ends up using a kid's toy wagon, which sets off this crazy chain reaction. This Mormon Mabel thinks it's trash day and tells the whole neighborhood, turning Squidward's trash pile into a teetering trash mountain. Meanwhile, SpongeBob is
Yeah, he
digging
kinda-
through
he kinda
garbage
deserved
bags
that
looking
one.
for a Krabby Patty because why not? He's dedicated, and my dude wants to know how long these things last. Squidward tells
They
him
kinda
to stop
deserved that
because
one.
it's still plain nasty, but next thing he's being confronted by a kid and his mom accusing
Oh.
him of stealing this kid's toy. It's going,
That's not his
Squidward.
mom,
He
man.
gets thoroughly thrashed and covered in garbage, and the police fish nowhere to be seen, obviously. Squidward is
Yeah.
lying in this garbage pile, and guess what? Officer
That's when he
John
shows up.
finally shows up and hands him yet another ticket. How does this guy keep getting away with this? Squidward accepts these endless fines, and nobody else says anything about this cop's absurd behavior. That's just super weird, unless you live in an underwater city where fish eat burgers cooked by a sponge. Was there once a massive landfill disaster, and now the police are on a crusade to keep history from recycling itself? They're like a bunch of garbage-obsessed doomsday preppers. If you so
Yep.
much as drop a piece of gum, they act like you're trying to start the next global garbage wars. Squidward heads home, ready to chill, only to find
I
his
feel like a
house
theory
is
could
made
become-
of garbage.
could be made out of
SpongeBob
this, though.
somehow stuck his home on top of a perfect trash replica. Classic SpongeBob. Officer John
How did he
rolls
do it,
by
though?
And surprise, surprise, hands Squidward 2 tickets. One for the garbage house and one for the first ticket falling on the ground. It's like stopping littering is this guy's life mission. Squidward
Yeah,
gets
that's
so
the
mad
order he
you
was
can see
given.
his nerves spelling out,
I am angry.
I think Squidward needs a vacation after this. SpongeBob
He needs
brought
more
the
than a
trash
vacation.
over by sucking it into his body, and every time he talks, garbage spills out hilariously. I have no idea how this sponge can store so much stuff. Anywho,
So that's
another
probably
ticket
how
for
he
Squidward.
did-
The cops don't care about anything else, but the second a piece of trash falls, they're on it like pickles on a Krabby Patty. Squidward dumps the trash-filled SpongeBob into SpongeBob's own trash can. Boom! Another ticket for putting his trash in someone else's bin.
Yeah.
I swear, Officer
They were
John
out-
must have a sixth sense for litter.
Nah, they
Then
were out for
SpongeBob
him.
realizes Squidward wants to get rid of the trash to earn a statue of himself. So, SpongeBob goes light bulb moment and builds a statue of Squidward out of, you guessed it, garbage. Enter Squilliam, who smirks
gotta
and
appreciate
says,
SpongeBob
"Statue
art
just
skills,
like
though."
you, Squidward, reeking of failure. And I mean, this thing
Gotta
works so
appreciate
much, it
SpongeBob art
actually
skills.
melts Squilliam's own statue. Officer John finally gives
He's a
Squilliam
creative.
a ticket and Squidward's
Yeah.
thrilled. But of course, Officer John then gives SpongeBob and Squidward tickets.
Finally.
Because, you know, the statue is made out of garbage. It's clear that in Bikini Bottom, littering is the ultimate evil, while
Yes.
everything else is just background
Yes.
noise to the cops. They hand out fines like
Littering
anything
and
and lock
giving
people
out
up tighter
ticket.
than the Krabby Patty secret formula when it comes to anything involving a scrap of litter. Then there's this episode, Doing Time. There's a whole
this the
bunch
Mrs.
of
Puff
wacko
episode?
going on. We see SpongeBob trying to get his driver's license again, but
For the
holy
millionth
Krabby
time.
Patties, it is not going well. This goofball has managed to destroy the entire boating school and parts of the city, and if that's not enough, he drives the boat off an unfinished bridge straight into the abyss. Don't even want to know how many violations are happening here. He's
Oh,
gonna fail for
can't
sure,
count
and that's
it,
like
man.
the 58th time in a row, by the way. The weirdest thing, though, is this scene where we've got two cops beating up a criminal, but plot twist, it's actually a parking meter. Seriously, guys, there's a list of things these cops are doing
Priorities.
instead. Like, I don't know,
Priorities.
arresting SpongeBob for destroying buildings and wreaking havoc all over the city? But nope, let's straighten out the parking meter instead. Anyway, this whole sequence of events leads SpongeBob, Mrs. Puff, and the police to all go flying and land on a peach punch truck, causing a massive flood in the Shady Shoals rest home. I'm sure these elderly folks weren't feeling too peachy about that. Even though SpongeBob is the reason for this entire mess,
They
the
arrested
cops
Mrs.
blame
Puff.
Mrs. Puff. By now, we shouldn't be surprised. For some reason, this poor lady is always the scapegoat when SpongeBob is involved. They give SpongeBob a ticket for not
We
having
know
a
why.
front license plate. Literally, this guy just wrecked the whole town, and somehow, because Mrs. Puff let him into the vehicle in the first place, she's the one responsible. What are these guys smoking? What's even more insane is that they arrest Mrs. Puff and cart her off to prison, letting SpongeBob off scot-free. The rest of the episode, Mrs. Puff is losing it in prison because SpongeBob keeps trying to rescue her, and it's ridiculous how the guards don't believe her.
And the fact that this brother's
SpongeBob
not
gets
dead.
super worried that Mrs. Puff has become thoroughly institutionalized, a pretty wacky idea to have, but if you live in a police state where you constantly have to walk on eggshells around the authorities, it's probably not that nutty. You'd think Mrs. Puff would be happy to be freed, but this lady
Nope.
is so relieved to
She's
be
far
away
from
how idiotic
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob, she'd rather be in prison. What's really weird is how the police make
And the fact that I think in the end, SpongeBob
no effort whatsoever
SpongeBob
to
made her
investigate or figure out
crazy,
what's
man.
happening. It seems like as long as there's no one littering, everyone can do
Yeah.
what they like, including massive scale destruction and letting other people take the blame for it. So is the justice system in Bikini Bottom run by a bunch of cleanliness morons, or are these cops enforcing a police state because of a dark and trash-filled past?
damn. That was the reaction, guys. Honestly, we knew that the characters in SpongeBob in Bikini Bottom are crazy, are deranged individuals, and the police, the Bikini Bottom police, are not exception. Because honestly, watching this video, I've never really thought about it, but yeah, they do act up when it's literally littering, or you know, you're overspeeding or something, or you get a parking ticket. Everything else doesn't matter to them. I'm guessing probably because they're fishes, and you know, they reproduce really in great amounts, so you can easily reproduce, you get me? So if anyone dies, they really don't care. I mean, but that was a very enjoyable video. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, let me know if any other video you want me to check out, and I'll do it. So without any further ado, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.